Hi, my name is Łukasz. I work as an international conference MC, a public speaking coach, and also as an event auditor, the so-called secret conference guest, who takes a very close look at different aspects of conference organization and then comes up with the final report with a long list of criticisms and creative recommendations for individual clients. Today I want to tell you about two things. One is our public speaking skills in general, and the second is how the job of people like me, international conference hosts, has changed over the past few months. And it hasn't become any worse. In fact, it's become more interesting and creatively stimulating in many different ways. I will explain in a moment. Let's start with public speaking skills. The last almost 2 quarters, everyone had to shift online, and so quite naturally people became more accustomed to the tools available, but also they became more aware of their particular public speaking challenges. And I'm not talking about simple things like posture and the way you speak, but the awareness of content discipline, the awareness of where you could put more stress on the actual quality of what you're saying, on the language discipline part of it, on structure. These days, people have the possibility of recording everything they say online at a conference, or they usually see it published after a webinar, a conference, or any type of competition they participate in. And just by watching themselves, they, in a way, learn to self-criticize creatively, to provide themselves with constructive feedback that they can use in the future. And because we are all programmed to understand bits and pieces of the feedback we're offered, imagine a Zoom conference with 20 participants from your particular discipline, whether it's education, whether it's IT or any other discipline. You can see how people respond to whatever it is you're saying, and you can see through body language and gestures of your audience if they're genuinely interested in what you're saying, and if you're really well prepared to use the time allocated to you well. So I suppose the last few months and this forced migration online has taught us a lot about how we can self-improve just by observation and continuous improvement. Another thing is people like me, conference MCs, conference moderators, hosts, facilitators, whatever you call them. This has been a really creatively challenging period. A lot had to be sort of rethought from scratch, because if you look at the typical conference MC hiring process, it's usually done by a word of mouth recommendation, yes. So if someone has worked with you, if they're really happy about the results of your cooperation, they would recommend you to someone else. But how does what we're saying now differ from the past? Well, for one thing, the cost structure has changed dramatically, because if you're a conference organizer, say in Paris, and if you want a particular type of MC to host your event, in the past, if you want this person to come from Germany or the Netherlands, for instance, or the UK, you had to cover the whole cost of bringing someone from London, for instance, to a Paris conference, spending the money on hotel costs, accommodation, travel, all that. These days, with online events, these costs literally disappear, and the competition becomes much broader, because you can choose from a much wider variety of public speakers, celebrities, actors, all kinds of potential MCs for your event. So it's a more of a level ground, more democratic rules apply now. It's fair to say, I suppose.